Hi, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Numbers. This is the show where we go beyond the data to explore the people, the stories, and the insights that drive business value and business success. My name is Dave Bookbinder. I am known as a business valuation expert and best-selling author. I thank you for joining me. Today's guest is known as the King of Referrals. He's an award-winning entrepreneur, a speaker, and a business strategist. He's also the CEO of HOA.com and the author of 4 #1 best-selling books in the Raving Referrals book series. I am pleased to welcome Brandon Barnum. Hey, Brandon, welcome to Behind the Numbers.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate you having me here.
It's my pleasure. Tell the audience the rest of the story about you, and then we'll jump in.
Okay, well, sort of the quick origin story is I was a single dad in my 20s, found out you don't have to be married to have a kid. And so I had one in college, and I was only making about $20,000 right out of college. So I had to make a change. And I ended up getting in the mortgage business, and somebody taught me the art and science of what I now call raving referrals. And I was able to 10x my income from $20,000 to $200,000 within about 18 months. And so that really changed my life. Since then, I've just been on a mission to help as many people as possible build their business by referral. I've done over $500 million myself by referrals, and I've built a number of tech platforms. My last before HOA.com was called Refer.com. We grew that to 5 million members. So it's been fun just seeing how people really grow their business by referrals and partnerships.
Yeah, and I'm super excited to unpack this. Personally, as somebody who's in the professional services space,
Mm.
all of my business is referral based. So I'm listening intently to this conversation as a listener here, not just as your host. But anybody who's in business, I mean, my personal view that I learned from an old friend named Todd Cohen, he used to say everyone's in sales, whether you're at the
Right.
reception desk, wherever, working in the mailroom, all the way up to the C-suite. Everyone's in sales. So these are important skills that everybody is going to be listening into very keenly. So with that framework, let's start with your nickname, the King of Referrals. How did you earn that?
Honestly, somebody published a magazine cover and called me the king of referrals. So that's how it happened. This was before I had even written my first book, but they knew that was what my passion was. And so that's where we got started.
Gotcha. So what are some of the habits or strategies or maybe even just mindset shifts that
Yeah.
enabled you to become the king of referrals?
Well, first and foremost, your show is behind the numbers. So let's talk a little bit about the numbers of referrals. You mentioned you're in professional services, and when you're serving business owners, 84% of business to business transactions come by way of referrals. So if you're in B2B sales, you need to be getting people to champion you, to open the door, to get you past the gatekeeper and bring you to the decision makers. So I think that's an important stat that a lot of people don't know. The other thing is that when somebody is referred to you, they're 400% more likely to hire you because of the trust transfer that takes place, right? So that's just
Right.
some of the numbers. And then another one I think is really interesting too is that on average, people that are referred to you are 16% more profitable overall because they spend more money with you. They stay with you as a client and customer longer because of that trust that's built. They're not looking over their shoulder thinking about how you might take advantage of them. They trust that you're going to give them 5-star service.
Yeah, let's unpack trust just a little bit here because that's something that I always preach to my teams and the young professionals when I'm doing a lunch and learn and so forth and helping them network and understand what this really is all about. It's relationship building.
That's
And
right.
this transfer of trust that you refer to, I've personally experienced it where I've gotten calls out of the blue because somebody who I may have not spoken to in 8 years gave my name to somebody. And because there was trust among those two individuals, that trust automatically got transferred. So it made my
Mm.
conversation that much easier because there was always this preconceived idea that this person is trustworthy and he came highly recommended. Uh, Give me your thoughts on that whole experience.
Yeah, it happens all the time. And if you're smart about it, you'll actually manufacture that for your business. Now, like I know you're an author, for example. When we're authors, it makes a tremendous difference. You need to manufacture credibility for yourself and your company. Writing a book, doing a podcast, these are great examples of it. Yesterday, I was in a boardroom. I got invited to this financial services company that not only does financial management, they do legal, taxes, and insurance as well. And it was so cool. At the end of this meeting with the CEO, we're leaving, and I see he's got this bookshelf with all of these books from different authors. Lo and behold, my books are sitting there on his bookshelf. Now, I've never met him before, but I walk into his boardroom and he's got my books. The credibility that happens when you're able to manufacture that creates trust unlike no other.
Yeah, that resonates. I give away more books than I sell, and that's deliberate because I'm trying to get messages out there. But
That's
the
right.
latest one is the valuation toolbox for business owners and their advisors, and I give them away like business cards because number one, there's so much I think valuable content in there that people can consume. But
Right.
exactly to your point, there is this credibility that's associated with that. Um, Not everybody listening here has a podcast or has authored books. And some of us are usually a part of the one of three names that are given out in the referral situation, because as you
That's right.
know, nobody wants to be caught up in the negligent referral where they just say, hey, call Brandon, he's great. And then Brandon messes up and then it washes up on their shoes. So they give three names. Maybe Brandon's number one on the list, maybe not. And in that situation, I'd love to get your thoughts on how to stand out when a potential client gets the three names
Yeah.
from someone that they trust. And
Right.
there's this perception that because all three names were provided by this person, that they're all generally the same. And people will tend to default to price. So how do you overcome that misconception there?
Well, first of all, you've got to train your referral partners, the people that you're working with and building your business with, and help them understand how to present you. So if they're going to give three business cards or three names and numbers, what I always wanted to be is the last person that they called if they were shopping price. So I would teach my referral partners to say, hey, make sure that you call Brandon. You can call all three. They're all going to take care of you, but be sure to call Brandon and bring him your best price because he'll always meet or beat it. Now, oftentimes, most people are lazy. They don't want to talk to three different people. They just want the best deal that they can. And so by positioning it that way with your referral partners, what I found often happened is I was the only call they made. And that's really what you're after.
Yeah, very cool. So you talk about setting the stage to ask for referrals
Yeah.
early. I'd like to get your take on what that looks like in a practical sense, and how can our fellow professionals who are listening to this not feel sleazy about it because they so many feel that selling is sleazy.
Yeah, no, I think that you're so right. And a lot of people feel uncomfortable and awkward asking for referrals. And so they don't ask when that's one of the biggest blocks that people have. So first and foremost, it's a mindset shift. The reason that people feel uncomfortable, awkward, or sleazy, as you say, is because they're in their sales mind, right? They're thinking about selling. How do I convince this person to buy my stuff? Right. And when you put that down and you shift from thinking about selling to focusing on serving, then the whole energy of the conversation shifts. The reality is, when you're focused on yourself and selling, it's really about you. You've got commission breath and people can smell it a mile away. So shift that before you go into the conversation. First and foremost, focus on serving. How can I deliver the best possible outcome to this person, whether or not that means they're going to be hiring me? Okay, so first it's a mindset shift. But now let's talk about the art of the ask. And it's got three steps. Number one is setting the stage, which you just talked about. Number two is listening for the referral triggers. And then number three is how to ask in a way that's going to generate the referrals. And the first thing is that most people wait and ask for referral at the end of the transaction, and that's too late. You actually want to set the stage when a client or customer first decides to use you. And it sounds like this. Before we get started, can I ask you a favor? I am so committed to delivering 5-star service for you, and I'm just passionate about helping people with this service that I provide. And once I've given you a 5-star service, would it be okay if I ask you for referrals later on? Okay. We've just set the stage, and we've done this at the
Mm.
beginning of the client engagement. Now, what happens is people have 100% acceptance of this. Everybody's going to say yes because you've not asked them for anything right now. You basically said, I'm going to deliver a 5-star experience for you. And then once I've done that, is it okay to ask you for referrals? So when you're setting the stage like this, everyone will say yes. And the good news is, oftentimes you'll get referrals right on the spot. They'll say, well, now that you mention it, Dave, I've got a brother, sister, aunt, client,
Mm.
coworker that could use your services now, because you're really planting seeds, right? So this is step one, setting the stage. That makes sense, Dave? Any questions
Yep.
on that?
No, absolutely makes perfect sense.
Okay, perfect. So now you've set the stage, you're delivering your service, you're always thinking to yourself, how can I really go above and beyond and impress this person? But now you're in step two. You're listening for referral triggers. And that's basically thank you, an expression of appreciation. Dave, you've done such a great job. I appreciate you so much. You've helped me make so much money, save so much time, lose weight, feel great, whatever it is that your service provides. So now that they've thanked you, they're in a peak referral state. They've already said yes early on. They're willing to refer you or at least have that conversation once you've proven yourself to them. And now that they've given one of those referral triggers and expressed their gratitude, it's a perfect time to say, this is step three, ASK to GET. I'm so glad to hear that. I love helping people like you have an amazing experience. And if you remember when we first started working with you, I shared that I was going to deliver a 5-star experience. And now that you've had that, I'm looking to take on a couple other clients. Do you know anyone who could use our services right now? We're offering a special, and then you sort of get into whatever your lead magnet is, whatever you provide as a discovery call or a way to engage with clients. But when you set the stage at the beginning, you listen for the referral triggers, and then once you hear them, you ASK to GET, you're going to get way more referrals than you've ever had before.
Yeah, and as I always tell my kids, if you don't ask, the question's always no. So
Well, and
we've got.
I'm glad you brought up your kids, right? Because as children, how often, or when we're parents and have kids, how often do we hear our kids ask for stuff?
Always.
All the time. All the
Yeah,
time.
no is not in their vocabulary. They don't
And yet
understand that.
somehow as an adult, we've psyched ourselves out. We make all these stories up in our minds about what the other person is going to be thinking about us if we ask. And we've got to get past that. And again, when we shift from selling into a service mindset, then it's really about them, not about us. And we want to help as many people as possible, which of course is how you make as much money as possible.
Yeah, and when you talk about the serving, what I always use as one of my tools in speaking with young professionals and helping them with this is the go giver.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not
I've
about.
heard.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So all the things equal, people will refer business to people they know, like, and trust, and it's about putting others first and serving. And when it's a simple mindset shift, but it's so critical to overcoming this head trash hurdle nonsense that we have. Because as soon as you go into the conversation thinking of how can you help somebody, it's
That's right.
different, and then everything else happens organically.
Well said.
You've touched on a number of things in this conversation already that may have already answered this, but
Mhm.
in your experience, what are some of the biggest mistakes people make when they're trying to form referral partnerships, and how do you fix them?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I don't think most people do. We surveyed thousands of people at refer.com. What we found is that 32% of business owners and professionals have zero referral partners that send them at least one opportunity every 90 days. 47% have one or two. So you add that together, that's 79% of people that really have 0 to 2 referral partners, and they wonder why their calendar is empty. So when you're talking about building referral partnerships, what you want to do is call up people that are already serving your ideal clients, your perfect prospects. They're in a complementary industry as you. And ideally, it's people that you've had a relationship, maybe you've known for a long time, but you've never formalized a partnership with them. And it's really easy, Dave. You want to call them up and you want to say, hey, the reason I'm calling is I realize I have a lot of clients who could use your services. So I'd like to sit down with you and discuss formalizing a referral partnership. Would that be okay? Now, people get nearly 100% yes on this as well, because most of us don't get that phone call. But now, once you sit down with that person, what you want to do is talk about the different ways that you can build your business together. And this is really the key, is to actually create a plan of action. A lot of people go to a networking group, chamber of commerce, BNI, and they meet great people, but they don't have an actual plan after that as to how they're going to cross refer and build their business together. So number one, you want to create a plan. Number two, you want to create a schedule so that you're meeting with them continually. Once a month at a minimum, once every 2 weeks is even better. And it depends how perfect of an alignment they are for your business. But find out, how can you add value to them? How are they currently marketing their services right now? And then based on how you're marketing your services, look for ways that you can promote them. Maybe it's invite them onto a podcast. Maybe you're going to do a lunch and learn together. Give them a social media shout out. Do a direct mail campaign. Workshops. There's 21 different co-marketing campaigns that we've identified in the Raving Referrals book. And so we teach the referral partner blueprint, and in the book you've got a download. You can literally print this out, and you can sit down with a partner and talk about the different ways that you can promote each other so that you walk away with a plan of action. And that's what's missing for most referral partnerships.
Yeah, let's unpack that just a little bit further, because I can hear the audience in my head here, with a lot of questions. First of all, when you start to think about building those referral partnerships, formalizing them, I hear people saying, because this is true for me, there's only so many referrals that I'm going to be able to give to somebody. My clients may need a lawyer, for example.
Right.
But if I know 500 lawyers over the course of my career, how do I allocate those referrals across each of those individuals, right? Because I've got to make sure there's an expectation that it's not going to be a, a fire hose of opportunities that's going to come their way, right? There's got to be some transparency there. How do you
Right.
navigate that situation where you've got, it's not going to be a quid pro quo, and I'm not a scoreboard watcher by any stretch, and I
Right.
don't
Right.
advocate that at all. But there's this the tipping of the scales, because there are people in the world of Adam Grant, the givers, takers, and matchers, and if you're not at least keeping up with what they're expecting on the scoreboard, they cut you off at the knees. How do you navigate all of that?
Well, again, going back to the referral partner blueprint, that's where you start. There's different ways that you can promote your partners, and you don't want to have a multitude of partners in one individual category. You want to have a go-to person. But when you talk about attorneys, for example, you've got industry specifics, right? You've got some business attorneys, real estate attorneys, family law, estate planning. So there's different types of specialists that you can refer your clients and customers to. And it starts with your own clients. What services do they need? And every person should have a trusted team of resources. I recommend you add a page to your website and actually list those partners on your website. The reason I do that is two reasons. One is I want to provide great services to my clients and customers and give them the resources they need to succeed. And also, it creates a way for me to promote my partners. And so I'm always intentional about how can I integrate my partners into the offering. Another idea is to create a brochure of your partners that you actually provide to your clients and customers, and give them a copy, give them copies that they can provide to their clients and customers well, because you're going to include your business in that group, that suite of services and solutions that they need for whatever service that you're offering.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about, we'll call them the surprising referral sources, because I remember an incident where I had a lunch meeting with somebody, and had to drive about an hour and a half to meet with them. So there was an expense report attached to that, and it wasn't astronomical by any stretch, but I was questioned about, why would you meet with somebody like that? They're
Mm,
not the typical referral partner for us.
right.
And as it turned out, I built trust, and that person was a center of influence in their network, and they became a wonderful referral partner for me. What are some of the surprising referral sources you've seen?
Well, I think it comes down to personality in large part, because some people are natural promoters and others won't promote to save your life, right? So I've come from the home services space. Obviously, with HOA.com, we focus on professionals who serve homeowners. So a lot of realtors, for example. Now, realtors are naturally inclined to promote because it's just who they are. It's their personality makeup. And so when you think about that, the best referral partners are often more outgoing. They're extroverts. They're people. And so you need to look at your champions by a personality trait. What I find is attorneys and accountants, although well intentioned, are risk averse and don't refer as often as others. So you just have to
Right.
understand that going in, and then look at who are the change makers in your industry, who are the leaders, the influencers. And one of the things I always look for is what organizations are already serving my perfect prospects, and how can I partner with a leader or influencer within those organizations.
Are there any metrics that you use to track the effectiveness, if you will, of these referral partnerships?
Well, yeah, I mean, the KPIs, the key performance indicators, are how many referrals received and how many given, and what's the actual revenue that's generated. How many opportunities have they brought, and then how much money has that generated? So you want to track that over time. We built a platform back 15 years ago now to support people in doing that, because most people don't track their referrals. There are 10 referral best practices, and that's one of them, is to actually track the referrals that you give and receive so that you know where your referrals are coming from. Because, quite frankly, most people don't know their numbers, Dave. I know that shocks
Yeah.
you because you're a numbers guy, but most people have no clue where their business is coming from, and they really
Yeah.
don't have a plan. One last thing, Ivan Meisner, who created BNI, he says 97% of businesses rely on referrals, and only 3% have a system for referrals.
Yeah, that really does resonate for sure. Is there a way to scale this, Brandon, without losing the personal touch?
Well, I think the personal touch is important, but it's about scaling, right? Your influence and your connections. So you totally can. It depends on your industry. If you're in a B2B space, typically you don't have the geographic restriction that somebody that is in a B2C service-based business has, right? A plumber only has a 5, maybe 10-mile radius that they're focusing on for their business. So when we talk about scale, then typically that's in the business services side. And there again, it's about partnering with influencers of organizations. I have a number of companies that I work with. One is a real estate video company. And I was talking with the president the other day, and I said, look, this is about quality over quantity. If you can infiltrate one organization and really get deeply connected, they'll give you all the business that you want. And so what I coached him in doing is connecting. He's up in Denver, and there's this South Denver Metro Realtor Association with 5,500 members. In the last 90 days since I've been coaching him, he is now in charge of all new member welcome experience. And so he's
Mm.
meeting every new member that comes into the organization. They're all realtors, and he provides video services for realtors. So it's a perfect fit. Now he videoed the monthly event that they put on. And so now he's providing that video with his thumbnail at the end so that everyone is seeing his services, everyone throughout the organization. And so that's an example of scale. And I said,
Yeah.
once we perfect this process for you with this realtor association, then we're going to replicate and scale this to others.
Yeah, that's awesome. Little Jedi mind trick going on there too, which I love it. So, well, good stuff. I want to talk to you about culture, company culture.
Mm,
We talk a lot about that here in terms of leadership and how it drives business value.
right.
But talk about the importance of culture in terms of generating raving referrals, and how do leaders embed this referral thinking into their team's DNA, especially when you talk about those professions where they're generally risk averse or, dare I say, afraid to make a referral.
Yeah, well, culture comes down to consistency. As a leader, you've got to be consistent in your communication about what's important, because if you're constantly changing the focus, your team's not going to be in sync with your overall objectives. So if to create a culture of referrals, we've got to systematize referrals. And while you want to keep the communication present and top of mind for your people, what you ultimately want to do is create processes so that you're automating referrals. For example, in your client engagement workflow, when a new client comes into your business, you can automate that art of the ask. You want to train your team to have that conversation, but you can also integrate that into your onboarding messaging, into your email sequences and your direct mail letters that you send
Yeah.
out, your new member welcome kit, or whatever process that you've created for your business. Then at the end of a service, you want to make sure and survey them, and you can ask for referrals within that process and really automate the process. The other thing, and I know some people are just listening and they're not looking, but you can create referral cards that all of your staff and team member are giving out throughout the service engagement. And when you do that, now what you're doing is you're systematizing the process. Your team is constantly seeing that visual reminder about referrals, and then you as a leader are keeping that conversation going on a regular basis. And when you do that, now you've created a culture of referrals for your business.
Yeah, love that. Great stuff. We're getting down to the short strokes here, unfortunately. I'm loving this conversation. What's one thing that you'd recommend business owners start doing literally today after they get done listening to this program that's going to radically improve their referral results?
Oh, yeah. So you're sitting on acres of diamonds. You've got gold in your phone. So, what I want you to do is first and foremost, think about who is already serving your perfect prospect. Most of you either serve business owners and you're B2B, or you serve homeowners, consumers. The reason I say homeowners is those are the more affluent consumers, right? People with more assets and disposable income, which is typically who you want for your business. Once you're clear on who you serve, think about all of the other professionals who are serving that type of business owner or homeowner every single day. Now go through your phone and identify the people that you already know, like, and trust that you need to reach out and have that referral partner conversation, and then rank them. If you look at, maybe you spend 30 minutes going through your contacts and you identify 50 people that are a good fit for you. If you just reach out and have one meeting per week over the next year, and you meet with 50 people who are most likely to send you business, the reality is you're probably going to create partnerships with about at least 20% of those. At the end of the year, you'll have 10 referral partners. And what we know is those people who have 10 or more referral partners earn on average over $250,000 a year. So if you want to increase your income, focus on who's already serving my perfect prospects, and then come to them with value. I have a lot of clients who could use your service. I'd like to sit down and create a referral partnership so we can grow our business together. When you start there, you'll start growing your business and have more people that are spreading the word and singing your praises.
Yeah, love that. Brandon, tell the audience a little bit about your books, where they can find them, and how they can find you if they want to learn more about you and maybe work with you.
Oh, yeah, you bet. So you'll find my books on Amazon. They're all raving referrals. We have a few industry specific versions, one for real estate agents, dentists, mortgage pros, and then the latest one is for Christian business pros. And so you can check those out on Amazon, and you can find me at brandonbarnum.com. It's just my name, brandonbarnum.com. There you can schedule a one-on-one with me if you're interested in learning how to integrate referrals into your company, or just want to learn more and follow up and see how you can integrate referrals collectively and really scale it for your business.
Lots of good stuff there and lots of good stuff here. Brandon, thank you so much for sharing with us today. It's been a lot of fun. I learned a
Oh,
lot,
it's
and I
my
know our
pleasure.
audience did as well.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. And thank you out there for listening to Behind the Numbers. I really appreciate your support. If you enjoyed this episode, as I'm sure you did, please hit the subscribe button. Think about leaving us a review, all that good stuff. You know the drill, gang. Until next time, I am Dave Bookbinder, reminding you that the numbers tell the story, but the people bring it to life. See you next time. Take care, gang.